All right.
Hey, you guys, I am excited. It is just after 8 o'clock on our Thursday meeting, and it is all going to be about our story. And I know there's some of you that guys are thinking, I don't even have a story yet. Well, yes, you do. So I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more about that. But before we do, I want to share a picture that I'm getting a little bit better about doing this, but I need to remember to put it into a PowerPoint. But we had some awesome things happen just this week. So I don't know what today was like for anybody. So if you guys already can share anything, but we added 3 new people to the team this week, which is flipping awesome. And we have some great Success Club points already happening. So I know just from talking to Molly earlier in the week that she definitely has some gears cranking for the month. I don't know if you guys have like a list of people in play, but we're going to try to make a habit of making sure that we acknowledge the people that have been added to our team. So Elaine brought on Jerry, Jacqueline brought on Renee, and Mickey brought on Daniel. So that was pretty awesome. And you can see, obviously, when you bring on people as coaches, where your Success Club goes. All 3 of them are at 2 points because they brought them on with a challenge pack. So I just wanted to make sure that we take a time, give them a shout out. Whoop, whoop. Mindy and I are both sitting at 1 point. Go girl, Mindy girl. We're working that. And we're going to keep on pushing forward. And I know you guys are too. So what I really am wanting to do, and I know you probably hear it a lot, is that people talk about you're discovering your story or creating your story, crafting it. And I think one of the things that everybody kind of gets in the habit of thinking is that it has to be this huge, massive transformation story. And it doesn't have to be a big physical transformation story. All of us, chances are, have changed just a little bit, even if we've only been in the business just a little while, whether it's has to do with our confidence or if it has to do with better eating habits or just exercising more regularly. I have some notes that I'm going to be referring to because there's so much out there about your story and what it can do and what it means. And for me, and it's like a testimony. I kind of think of it as my walk with the Lord story and when I first met him and how he changed my life and where I'm going now. So you can really kind of equate that to the same kind of thing because it's an ongoing story. It's an ongoing journey. So you don't have to be at that place where you've just arrived and you think, okay, I've got it all together, because even the leaders in the company that are doing huge and wonderful things have a story that is always changing. Okay, so one of the first things, and for you teacher people, you're going to like this because you're going to start with a main idea. That's one of the first things that you want to start out with is a main idea. So it's kind of like your old school writing. So I want you guys to think about a few different areas that maybe you could pick from, because even though you may have a story in a few of these places, you may have a story in all of these places. Did you see that picture? That's nice, Molly. And then you can decide which one is the one you want to tell and when you want to tell it. So financial was one of the first ones. And I think I mentioned that one first because that's the one where I feel like I probably lack the story the most. But when you think about it, for a lot of people, it doesn't matter that it's this big, huge millionaire story. It doesn't have to be a big, huge millionaire story whatsoever. It doesn't have to be that you've paid off, $12, $13, $14, $50,000 worth of debt. It doesn't have to be a story that big, that massive. It can be that you got your Shakeology for free. It could be that you were able to take yourself out for a pedicure. It can be a wide range of things because there are people that would just love to have a little bit of extra money to pay their cell phone bill that month. So you really need to take into consideration what part of the financial picture you're looking for. It doesn't have to be the biggest, most award-winning one. Because believe it or not, if somebody earned enough money to pay half of their house payment, I can tell you they would be excited. So wherever you are in your journey as far as the financial end, that's the story you want to tell and how that's made a difference for you. The other main idea possibility for you could be physical. And again, like I said before, it doesn't have to be a huge physical, like you lost 60, 70 pounds kind of story. You could be more flexible. You could have better energy. You could be exercising regularly. I run into more people that just never got and formed a good habit. And that is a huge transformation and story to tell if that's something that you haven't done. Emotionally, maybe there is something you have done. So we've talked about financial as a possible story, physical as a possible story, and emotional. For me, emotional, I'm leaning more towards the confidence building kind of emotion, or maybe you have you're maybe feeling less down on yourself because you're more physically active. They could kind of go hand in hand. I have two more possibilities for story ideas. The other one that I have is the Shakeology story. For me, and oh my word, can I just tell you? Yes, it's all about, and some of you guys have picked up on it, and I've shared it before, the whole digestion story. Yes, that is my story. No, I do not shout it from the rooftops because it's not something I'd like to tell people how regular I am. However, I know, for real. But hello, that is the story that is real. And take note, that is a story that everybody struggles, well, not everybody, but a lot of flipping people struggle with, and they just aren't willing to talk about it. So it's in print if people need to read it. Unfortunately, it's out there for everybody. Where was I? Oh, I was substituting at school. Last week, my friend Robin was asking me about the shakes and how much sugar was in it. And I said, I'll have to check the bags. I don't know. Well, she was on her phone while she was substituting, whatever. Anyhow, so she starts flipping and she's like, oh, she says, look, I turned on my phone on the Shakeology site and there you are. I'm like, yes, thank you very much. Did you see what I'm talking about there? Well, honey, this big, huge laughter. Yes, because I go regularly and I miss my shake when I don't. Okay. So whatever your story is for your shakes, I have tons of clients that it curbs their cravings. They eat breakfast now because of it. They have more energy because of it. So wherever you are in that type of story, that's a Shakeology story that you can use. And I would lean towards a health benefit more than a weight loss benefit. And if you'd want to talk more about that, I can send you to some information. But coming off the summit, there was, and I don't know that those are available yet, but say Stanford was big about how it's just a health benefit shake, and I wouldn't necessarily market it out as a weight loss shake. The last one that I was thinking would be a great story is the accountability aspect of Beachbody. For so many people, they struggle with that accountability. And once they finally got plugged into a group, or whether you led it, or maybe it was something that you were a part of, you were able to keep it. So those are 5 ideas of a main idea for your story that you could go on. Oh my word. Okay, sorry. I think the biggest thing to remember when you do tell your story, it's really not about perfection. It's not about getting it perfect. It's personal to you. There's really no right or wrong. Nobody can tell your story because it's yours. You can't mess it up because it's your story. You know what I'm saying? There's no right or wrong way to do it. You're just being real. You're being authentic, and you're sharing one of these areas. Okay, so once you pick your area, you have your main idea. You are going to want to kind of break it down. So this is where the crafting part comes in. So one of the first things you have to remember or think about is who your audience is and who it is that you want to reach out to. For me, and that I'm kind of going to use myself as an example tonight, and everybody's story will be different. And I'm going to do the weight loss one because obviously you've already heard about the shake one. So the part about who you're reaching out to, for me, I think about where I was when I first found Beachbody. I was sitting in bed on a Sunday morning, clicking through channels. My husband was on the telephone or in the shower, and I was watching the television, and it was an infomercial for Slim in 6. And Slim in 6, if you are not familiar with it, is a 6-week program. And they had these incredible transformations. And I just swore that all these people were absolutely photoshopped, and that it had a money back guarantee, and I daggone well can get my money back. And I didn't even tell Craig. I just went on the computer while he was in the bathroom And I typed it up and I said, cheek, 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 and I ordered it. And I didn't have any clue what I was doing. I just knew I had 6 weeks. It was the middle of summer and I felt miserable because it was another Sunday morning where I was going to have to get up and I was going to have to get dressed for church and I was going to have to try to figure out what I was going to wear. And I basically would have a meltdown because I had nothing in my closet that I felt looked nice, that I felt nice in, that I wanted to go to church in. So Sunday mornings basically stunk and I was quite weepy. So that was my reach out people were people that were in a similar situation. They were people who were moms like me, maybe stayed at home, maybe worked part-time. At that point, I did work part-time, but I was off during the summers, that constantly were taking care of their children, that were taking care of their spouse, was taking care of their house. They were basically taking care of anybody and everybody that they could except for themselves. So those are the target people. So when you think about your audience, think about who it is that you're reaching out to, who it's going to relate to your part of the story. And that's where I was before. Okay. So that's where I was before Beachbody, was that part. So why was it that Beachbody appealed to me? Why, for me, I was not about to haul my over 200 pound behind into a gym. No. First of all, there was no first of all. I just wasn't going to do it because it just did not appeal to me. When I was younger, a little more fit, and Craig and I were first married, and I'd go to the gym after I got off work at the bank, and I didn't think anything of it. And I'd sit there and I'd sweat like them girls. And there'd be a couple people, I'd do a couple circuits because, I only learned how to do that in college. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I felt confident going in because I didn't have all the extra weight. But at over 200 pounds and 2 kids later, and I've been staying home for 8 years and, not taking care of me, there was no way I was going to go to a gym. So working out at home, knowing I can get my money back if it didn't work out, that was the reason I chose Beachbody in the first place. The next part of your story is going to be what that journey was like and where you are now. So for me, that first 6 weeks that I participated in Slim and Fit, I followed it and I lost 18 pounds in 6 weeks. And somebody said to me, Allison, check, you lost like 2 pounds or 20 pounds in a couple months. And I was like, yeah, I guess I did. And it never really occurred to me. So I started setting goals. And that is something that I had never, ever started doing. And that by setting a goal and then achieving a goal and then setting a goal and then achieving a goal was something that built up a confidence in me that I had never experienced before. I think I kind of had settled in that this is the way it was going to be, and I wasn't going to be able to get any or make any changes. And I did. By my next goal was to make my license real, because my license said I weighed 160 pounds, and even when I was over 200 pounds. So I really wanted to make that true. So just before the holidays, I found an accountability group on the pages of the used to be like the message boards. And that's how I met my coach, because I had a coach that wasn't coaching. And I switched to the coach that I have now. And I was able to get through Christmas and New Year's and my birthday and make my driver's license real. That was kind of like the progression that it went, but it was only through the accountability. We had a little chart. We put little smiley faces on it if we did our workout and what, if we ate well. I mean, I think that's all it was. It was very low key, but the accountability part of it was something that made a difference. And I had finally reached a goal, and it built the confidence. So you've talked about where you are before Beachbody. You talked about why you chose Beachbody, and you talked about what your goals were and how you were able to reach them. And even if you haven't reached that particular goal, that's a little breadcrumb you kind of put out there for people that they can join you with it and be a part of your story also. And I'll touch on that just a little bit later. The other part is where you're headed now. So once I reached that, and once I started experiencing success, a lot of people came to me and started asking me, how that happened for me. And I wasn't sure how to handle that. I didn't plan on coaching to be a coach at all. I just had switched coaches. Coaching had never even entered my mind. I had not at that point even tried the shakes. So I was like, yeah, no, coaching is not for me. But more and more people kept asking, and I really enjoyed helping more people. And people would say, what did you do? So I ended up typing up all of the stuff that I did, and I would just start handing them out to people. I'm like, look, I did this, 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 and this. And I just shoot them, copy and paste it, and shoot them messages. And I ended up helping more people without even knowing what I was doing. And my coach approached me and asked me if I had ever considered doing it. And I said, yeah, a little bit, but I'm not really like a super fit person. But I did want to try the shakes. And she's like, it's better if you sign up and you get the shakes, you get a better price. And I was like, okay. So I totally just signed up just to do the shakes at a discount. And I did invite some people over, and I was given this incredible gift to touch a lot of other people's lives. And there was nothing I think that I would have done to change that, because I know that God put them in my life for a purpose, but it took me a long time to kind of figure out how that was. So that part for my story, I consider that I'm still on that journey. I'm still on that journey of helping more people realize that they are worth the time and effort they put in. My post today was similar to that. I don't know if anybody saw that post today, but it was a post of me that summer before I started exercising, and I was like not looking my finest. Let's just say that. And it was, but it was one that I think was very relatable. And fortunately, I had a lot of people still, because I don't share that story very often, were like, that was meant for me to hear right then today. And everybody's story has something if you share it from your heart and are meaningful in it. So I know that I still can use that story to get other people to join me on my journey. So, and then the wrap up is basically just, how has your experience been so far? For me, it's been very positive. I have met incredible people. I have been able to maintain my weight loss within 5 or 10 pounds, 10 or 15 some days, just depending on, when you talk to me. But for the most part, I've kept off the 60 pounds for working on 5 years. So that is part of the journey that is still ongoing and sharing for me. That's my physical transformation story. And I certainly invite them to join along. Okay. So whatever it is, you just want to pick the area that you want to share and know your before beach body part, your why beach body part, your where you are now, where you're still going, and how that experience has been for you. Those are the big things that you want to have, those parts of your story. So I want to make sure that you guys got that. The last couple little tidbits that they shared through the different areas that I pulled story sharing from was, one of them was share often, but different stories. So make sure that as you're trying to decide which area, whether it's physical, financial, emotional, accountability, shake, whatever area you decide, you don't have to share the same story every week or share the same story every day. Share little bits of different parts of your life. The point of that is because it's like they said, you want to leave little breadcrumbs that keep the people interested in you, that have them engaged. You make that connection with them so they keep coming back and wanting more. They want to know a little bit more about your life. So you don't want to just pour that whole story out. What I shared with you guys today was the beginning to end, but the part that I shared on the post today was more of just a snippet of where I was when I started, because you're wanting to find out what people's struggles are. And that basically is where your story is wherever struggle you had, other people are going to be having the very same similar struggle. So you want to connect with those. So, it's like you're kind of getting them to kind of come along and pick up the little pieces of your breadcrumb story as you go. I had a couple of quotes that I thought, and some of these will be very familiar to you when it comes to thinking about or what your story should be. But I liked them. One was not to ever apologize for your story, because your story is yours. So don't ever apologize for that. the other one was, it's a come with me story. It's like a join me journey type of thing. So make sure that you aren't just saying, okay, this is it and I did it and, ta-da, because that's great and people will watch you and see you, but then think maybe that, all right, well, that's good for her, but what about me? It needs to be something that they can feel inclusive in and that they could come along with and that they would relate and want to be a part of that with you, no matter what area that is. I know you've heard this before. Your mess is your message. So whether your struggle is your story or your mess is your message, those are the things that are going to make you more vulnerable and relatable to people. The more vulnerable that you can be, the more relatable you'll be to other people. The other story that I shared today, totally unrelated to Beachbody whatsoever, and it was very random. It was very off the cuff, and I was not planning on sharing it. But however, I connected with a lot of different people that I did not anticipate, was my story of my stepfather who committed suicide. Today is Suicide Prevention Awareness Day, and that's something that I really posted on social media when he passed away, but I didn't really talk about how he passed away. And I think I just didn't realize how it affected me at that point. But it was a very personal, and even typing it, I became very emotional doing it. And it's still a very real struggle for me because my heart aches for people that really see that there's no other way out. So that's a very unrelated story, but it's still a story. It's still a way for you to connect with other people without it being the full Beachbody story. So if you haven't read that, you can read that. It's on my personal page. We talked about knowing who your audience is. The last little part that I had was the last little bit at Summit. I know everybody was kind of on a different track. I did the silver track. So I heard Amy Silverman and Megan Ewald, which Megan Ewaldson, that's her name, Megan Ewaldson. She just did the National Coach Call a few weeks ago. But one of the things that they wrapped up with is that each post and picture that you share is a way to share your story. So every time you post something, you can make it to story. It's the kind of the come to me and connect to my story kind of post. So make sure when you do that there's a purpose to your post. One of them said, and I can't remember which one it was, you're not just renting space out there on Facebook. You need to have a purpose. That is an opportunity. So when you make a post, let there be a main point for even doing the post. Have engagement, build conversation, but just have a point because you're always going to be planting seeds of relationship. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to have a point. And the more you guys start to share, the easier it's going to be. And I think, it's taken a lot of personal development, I think, for me to finally get to a place where I feel like I can share certain parts of my story or to feel like it would be of help to anybody. So I'm not sure if those tips were helpful for you. But that was one of the things. There's a call to action. It's kind of one of those things I put at the end of the agenda for the day, is that I really, really would love for you guys, and maybe you guys have done some of this training already, you've already taken the time. The challenge at Summit, and you go to all these conferences and they're wonderful, and I'm so excited for Katie and this other gal, Whitney, who have both earned their tickets to go for free to Summit. Is you take in all this information, but like any kind of personal development, you have to put it into action. So here's my little notebook from like Elaine gave me this when we were at Summit. And then she said at the end of their conference part, I put my call to action, my CTA, it says action up here. You can't really see it. And then it says CTA. It says craft my story, do a 1-minute video, which was very similar to one that was in some training that we just did. It was very quick story share. It wasn't like this big, huge, massive video production. It was just a very nice, quick share. And then share it with your upline, and then hashtag it my Beachbody story, or my BB story is what it says. Can I tell you, in all honesty, I haven't done that. And I had intentions of kind of doing that, but I think I kind of played with it today just doing my own post and I didn't hashtag anybody, anything, but I know I still have a homework assignment that I want to, because I want to work on a financial story, even though I don't have a huge financial story to share. Beachbody has been very beneficial to me for everything that I purchased, certainly, but for a lot of trips and things that I've been able to take. And when we've had the need, I have been able to help out somewhat towards the household. And for some people, that's going to be a big deal. So that's my big push. And that's part of my big why right now anyway, is to have more of a financial story. So I would love it for you guys to unmute yourself, and maybe if you already have an idea of what area your story is going to be, and maybe you have some questions about how to tell it, or if there were some missing links, or maybe you already have worked on your story and you feel like you have had some success sharing it. I think that would be beneficial as well. So I would love to hear from any of you. Don't be shy. Or be shy.
Well, thanks for sharing, Allison. That was awesome. I wrote a whole 2 pages while you were talking.
Well, that's okay. I like that. I know I do better when I write stuff down too. So what kind of things jumped out at you, Molly?
Well, because we've been working on it in the Coach Basics, and then I tried to do that AD Rising Stars. That was very overwhelming.
Yeah, right.
I just keep coming back to, and it wasn't really that obvious before I wrote the one for Shannon. But the track I think I've always been on is staying home with my kids. So I think that's a huge one that I really haven't played around with digging deeper into, but it's just a very personal thing for me because, I was in daycare and aftercare, and, I just don't want that for my children. So I get really,
Oh, so the personal side of that where you were. Okay, cool. That's good. I like that.
Well, and just that everything I've done over the last really 9 years, I quit teaching when Brady was born 9 years ago. And then I had to go back when he was a baby, and that was devastating for me because, I had to leave my situation with my husband. So that was horrible, for me I think that was worse than anything I did, was having to go back to work and leave him.
Right.
So, and then with the little boys, I went back for a year and a half, but that just didn't cut it. I'd rather would just work 10 jobs than be somewhere for all day. And I think it just keeps going back to being with the boys, just being there for them when they get off the bus and get on the bus, and, even if they're not there all day. So I think that's my main thing that I really hadn't really equated to the Beachbody thing, because it's more for me, the exercise and the clean eating, that's been more of the focus for since last November, I would say. But really now that I keep listening to these calls and realizing that the financial piece is there, I would love to have it be where that's what I'm bringing into my family.
Awesome.
And I'm starting to make sacrifices. I'm not going to do anything else until this takes off. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do something safe just because while I'm waiting for this to get bigger.
Yep.
Because I could easily go back to, making full-time and insurance and all that stuff.
And it's funny you say that. Well, it's not funny, but Craig and I have had that conversation because there's a lot of times where it gets tighter. And I'm like, Craig, I just need to go and just get a full-time job. I mean, my kids are in school all day now. But right now, I can go to all their sporting events. I can go and pick them up. I can go and bring them home. If I need to go to school, I can go to school to get them. If they need to go to appointments, I can do that. I don't have to ask off from work. And he's like, Allison, you're never going to find anything with the freedom and flexibility of time that you have when you have that. So,
and it's there. That's the thing. you just I listened to 2 coach calls this morning, one from Monday, and then the one that Shannon had put up. And it was just it's every time. I think those really every week when I listen to those, I just want to be listen, this is what could happen. You know what I mean?
I do.
And they are so inspirational. I just skip right to the end and just listen. And it's just amazing because everyone's in a same, similar, worse, whatever. So it's doable.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Yes. Put that on your phones. If you guys don't have the podcasts of the national coach calls, have a field day with those sometimes. They're awesome. They're all awesome. How about anybody else?
I'll go.
Yay, Tabitha.
I don't know. This is something that's always been difficult. Just sharing things in general has always been difficult for me. So, I don't really feel, and now after listening to you, I have to put some stuff together, but I never really felt like I had much of a story. Elaine brought me on because our younger girls, her youngest girl, they were friends in school. And so that was kind of how we connected. And she had just sent me a text with one of her challenge groups that she had starting up, and just kind of wanted to know if I'd be interested in it. And I joined, mainly because I needed the accountability, because I had gotten Beachbody products before. I'd gotten the P90X and T25 and Insanity, and never, I got through a couple days of them and never continued on with them, because I found out for me after going through the challenge group that I needed the accountability to be there in order to follow through with it. And so that was a really big thing for me, was just having the accountability there and somebody to be able to, say, yes, I did this. Hold on, I fell out. So I guess that was kind of where my story ended. And then after thinking about things, I didn't have a really huge transformation. I just had a baby. Obviously, he's 8 months old now, but I didn't want to. I always told myself I was never going to let myself go, and I could see myself kind of starting to go down that way. So, I needed to get on track. Then after I started doing the coaching, I find that more of the transformation for me is actually internal. And I'm sorry if I start crying, because I'm a crier. I really, I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
So the personal development part of it has been huge for me. It was never something that I ever did before. But all of the stuff that I've been reading and doing I see just tons of changes in my life because of it. But I think that the biggest thing that has happened out of this is it has actually brought me closer to God. And so that's just kind of my story.
That's an incredible story.
And I want to continue doing all this, because I, like a lot of the other moms out there, I work full time and have 3 kids, and I just want to be able to stay home, and I want to be able to take care of them and, not have to worry about juggling around. My husband or I is going to be getting them and taking them into, the doctor, and running them around to soccer practice, and, when I have to, it's all that kind of stuff. So that's me.
That's good. And Tabitha, I know Elaine was so excited that you're a part of this too. And I'm sorry that she's not on here tonight, because I know that she would just be crying right there with you, girl. She would be. I know she would be. And to me, that's what, like, her main motto right now is the souls over goals, and your importance to her and her heart is what's most important. And that's one of the things I tell Molly. The friendship to me in that side of it, and the relationship, and your relationship to the Lord, I know that would be her priority for you too. So that change in and of itself is a huge change. And to know that it was through a relationship with Beachbody that occurred and opened up that door is flipping awesome. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do, because I don't think he does anything without purpose. I mean, God put that relationship and this in your lap on purpose. And Katie and I have had a discussion about that before too. So I know that is something that I can't wait to see what he's going to do and how he's going to be answering some serious prayers for you in that. So thanks for sharing that. That was good. See, good first steps. That was awesome. It's awesome. Okay. Anybody else? I saw Joy's finger going up to the screen. Hey, girl.
I think I have kind of dabbled in all of these stories, and but I will go for emotional confidence is definitely, I don't know, the biggest for me, the biggest I've seen, the biggest change. And I share my story often. I'm an open book, and from digestion to everything. And I will tell you, Allison, the people at my husband's work now, when I post that, they're like, to him, when they see him drink it, they're like, so we know you're going to the bathroom. He's like, thanks a lot. Like, hey,
It is.
more people than not struggle with it. So why not share it? And
Absolutely.
it's the first question when I do health coaching, actually, is I said, I'm going to ask a very personal question. So I lead with it, and it's, I get the big eyeballs, but then when you think about it, then they answer and they're like, yeah. So
Yeah.
that is one. Accountability, I haven't had trouble with, honestly. I have my fitness transformation, but when I started Beachbody, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had all the time in the world to do whatever I wanted. I homeschooled, and I had no problem getting my workouts in, but now I own a business. So my focus has really changed on my people who I'm trying to attract are the working moms that are trying to juggle, just like we've all said, the kids and the practice, and letting them know that they're worth the time for themselves. So that's my kind of thing. I went from the stay-at-home mom, get it in, playgroup time, to showing moms that they need to, and they're worth taking the time to take care of themselves. So I'm trying to go that in, because I've done the route that you said of posting me, and then the goal, well, that's good for you, but that won't work for me. So I've been there, and that's a train wreck. So, but I'm reading the Energy Bus. If you guys haven't, I actually opened it up. And I opened it up, and I'm on, I don't know which rule. There are 10 rules to the Energy Bus, and I think I'm on rule number 4. But it's, once you find your energy, invite people and explain that you're driving your energy bus. And you have to, when you invite people, you have to explain where you're going. So that's my new focus. Yes, this is my ham.
I like it.
I'm driving my bus, and here's where I want to go. Do you want to get on?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Who wrote that?
I don't know.
Molly, have you started this list that you were asked to start? Because Elaine said, go for it. You like that list idea. She's muted. Okay. Oh, she's got a list going. Okay, good. All right. That's awesome, Joy. And I like that. I'm glad you said that, because they were big on that on Silvertrack anyway, as far as making sure that it is focused on them, and that you are, gathering them in, not just pouring you out all over the place. So awesome. It's almost contradictory to some coaches that you'll run into that are all about marketing yourself and how you market and project yourself. And I think that works for some people. But at the same time, I don't know.
It wasn't working for me.
No. Amen, sister. Me neither. I guess that's where I'm going. Yep.
They're like, I'm good just lurking. That's what I call them, because that's where I got that from Crush It. They're lurkers. And you have to ask them, are you lurkers, or am I actually going to invest in you, with you, for you? So,
Excellent.
they say lurkers, people, just move on. They're just watching you.
Yep. Awesome. So you're going to be working on your emotional and confidence story then.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I'm taking notes so you guys remember what story that you're working on. So does anybody else like to share what they were thinking after tonight's call? Got a story, working on a story, have no idea where to start with your story. Okay. I don't know who's on the phone. Katie, is that your telephone that's on? Okay, cool. Just checking. Do you guys have any other questions before we wrap up? I know we're already after the 8:30, but I definitely didn't want to squelch anybody that if you were just like, oh, cool, I've got a bunch of people here and I want to ask a question, definitely go ahead and do that. I was looking at it. What's it like? It's 20 of, so it's not quite quarter of.
I have a quick question, and I know I could probably find this answer, but I did actually look for it before asking it. Those, the Shakeology like packets instead of the bags, since there's only 24, do you get it shipped earlier for the next month, or do you go out without for like 6 days or whatever?
Same date, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. Everybody good? I hope that the story call was beneficial. And if you guys would like to message me or Elaine, or if you have any questions, or if you want to run your story idea by us, please definitely don't hesitate to do that, because I think that it's important that you get into the habit of either sharing it with people on our team. It's kind of like good, safe practice. Like Tabitha, she totally went through like her whole little story right there. And I think, I know for me, I need to make it brief. I guess, it's one of those things that you don't need to tell everything. And I'm an everything person, sadly. So not sadly, but sometimes you just need to know when to bring it in. Trying to stay positive, but sometimes you just need to know when to reel it in. So I know Elaine and any of us on the team here would love, love, love to help. And I hope that we will be hearing or seeing or typing some stories in the very near future. Everybody good? Hi, I see lots of beautiful children. Mine are teenagers and they don't care about being on the camera at all. And of course, Tabitha's doesn't, because that boyfriend is knocked out. He is done for the day. He is done. Look, you have a beauty shop in your house, Joy. I love it. I know. Okay, you guys. Hey, buddy. Hey. Okay. Oh, let's do a picture. Get all your kids to wave too. Well, Tabitha, don't wake your child up.
I won't. Don't worry.
Okay, you guys wait. Fix your light, Katie. Okay, everybody's smiling. 1, 2, 3, wave. Okay. Hey. Yay. Okay, you guys. Awesome. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you guys on the page. Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yep.